Has anybody heard the phrase Goo Goos? This is a phrase that's crossed anybody's radar screen. So Goo Goos are not very famous now. But in the turn of the last century, the Goo Goos were the good government groups, and it's a short form for good government groups. That cool. was that developed the that developed the city club movement. Right? So Salem has a city club, Eugene has a city club, Portland has a city club. These were built by the Goo Goos. By the way, Goo Goo was a pejorative term used by the political machines that the Goo Goos were trying to disrupt. No. Okay? This was the way to say, oh, they're not doing the real stuff. They're just the Goo Goos. So I have decided that for me, Goo Goo is not a scarlet letter, but a red badge of courage. Okay. And so now I try to pass or work on at least one Goo Goo bill, right? You know, we passed online voter registration, we passed the political party checkup, we passed governmental transparency, and I now am building a little set of Goo Goos. But if you look at the ebbs and flows of American history, if you listen to Bill Lunch, he has a historical analysis of the country which overlays almost perfectly with mine and adds some detail which I hadn't figured out until he offered it. Essentially, there have been a handful of small p progressive eras in American history. They were, he would say, the Revolutionary War. He would say just prior to the Civil War with the abolitionists. He would say after the turn of the century, the Progressive Era, 1900, 1917, give or take. The New Deal, the Civil Rights, Vietnam Era, and I would argue maybe right now. And that again, history is not destiny. That will be decided by the people who decide to decide. It is, and interestingly also, and I was talking to a guy, each time I have these conversations, people feed more facts and I try to remember them. If you look at the post-Civil War era, the best and brightest weren't going to public service. They were building railroads. They were building steel mills, right? Many of them. If you look at the post-Vietnam era, right, sort of a similar story. Many of them building Apple and Microsoft. And it was after, just at the turn of the last century, when people lifted their heads from their orgasm of self-interest and looked at the disparities of wealth and power that had been wrought, and looked at the environmental challenges that existed, etc., and said, we got to do something. And where history making seemed to be more possible in the public thing than just in the private thing. And you saw more and more energy in that. Again, I think we are at that kind of fulcrum of history right now. I think that's what motivated the last presidential election. I don't think it was because we had a charismatic candidate. I think that the historical necessity, causation came the other direction. And it will have more to do, in my judgment, with the building of public interest networks of power than with any other, or at least as much as with any other part of the equation. So that's why when Ross said to me a very short number of magic words, we're building a group with public interest creative types. We want to make, we want to build, I don't know if you use the word progressive, and I don't care exactly what word we use, and if we come up with a new word, I'm totally down, because progressive was a new word 100 years ago, and I'm looking for I just haven't been able to, Goo Goo, no, it's not going to work, I need one that'll work. If you come up with it, I'm down. I like it too, okay, we'll have a little listserv. Yeah, I think so too, it's sort of, it's self-deprecating, it's okay.
It sounds like Google.
You can Twitter it, you can all that.
So so that's what I think is, so that to me is the backdrop. That's why I think that the conversations you guys decide to have are the most important conversations they can have in the world. Because I think that's the big question. Again, to do my math again, biggest thing happening in the world is if we can figure out a high road economy, progressive capitalist system. It's the biggest thing happening. Okay, the biggest make way to there is how can we build a more effective democracy, or sort of the means to get there. How do we do that? Right? How do you get there? Well, a necessary piece of that is to build networks of publicly interested people who are willing to, put or to water